Welcome everyone. Today we have a Moze spotlight. Moze is a gunner class. She is very good in terms of her summoning with the super mag. She is also a great berserker tank. She's a really good fire AoE damage dealer as well. Let's have a look at Moze's trailer.
My squad leader said Darzaron Bay would be my last mission. Easy in, easy out. And afterwards, my Iron Bear class mech would be all mine. Routine gig, he said. Routine gig, my ass. It was a death trap. We never stood a chance. The rest of my squad was wiped out. But Iron Bear kept me alive. Now he's all I've got. We look out for each other. His equipment comes in handy.
So
even
sweet.
off the battlefield.
He cooks for her. Oh, it. I wonder what she's having.
Parts aren't cheap, but I keep them tuned and ready to fight.
She's like your mini diva, right? From Overwatch. See, she's got a pistol as well. And trust me guys, she doesn't just use a pistol, she uses a lot more
Not having a
weapons than that.
squad, it takes some getting used to. At least Iron Bear's sentry mode lets me catch up on sleep. He might be 15 tons of walking tritanium,
15
but
tons.
Iron Bear, he's my best friend. And when your BFF's a BFG, you don't need anyone else watching your back.
Very lovely. And two things to mention. Yes, you can autopilot the Iron Bear, which is her mech, and also someone else, another player, can ride in it as well. The special effects for riding it, so definitely stay in tune for the next part. We'll be looking into 3 very strong builds, and those builds have a range of variation. You can be shooting nukes with her mech, which is Iron Bear. You can be the force to be reckoned with infinite bullets. You can also be the super berserker tank, also doing infinite damage as you lose your HP. So very interested to see all of them. Let's get right into the first build we have, which is all about her machinery, which is Iron Bear. Here we'll be going in for a Nuke Warhead build with rocket launchers. At the very start, let's look at her equip buff skills. The action spell for Moze is very different to most characters. Most characters have equip buff skills for the action spells. Here Moze will always summon her mech, which is the Iron Bear, and she will be equipping different weapons for her mech. We have the grenade launcher for the detonation woman branch. We have the railgun for the shield of retribution. We have the minigun for the bottomless mags. On top of that, we can also unlock other left and right arm weapons like the rocket launcher here, and also different variations over here like the variation of the flamethrower. And also, if you prefer melee, you can go into the bear fist form, which will do tremendous damage to an enemy that's up front. We'll start the build at the weapons for the Iron Bear. Here we can have 2 different weapons equipped. We have equipped one of the same kind of weapons. We can also adjust the weapons. Here we can adjust from the grenade launcher into the rocket launcher. We'll be looking at the rocket launchers for this build. The first argument we have in the rocket launcher is actually the Vanquisher rocket pump, which allows us to shoot a nuclear warhead dealing massive radiation damage at 380% of her damage, which is a massive blast. The downside for this particular weapon is that it only has 1 slot. After shooting the nuclear warhead, you have to reload. I think that's acceptable because you're likely to kill most of the things after 1 launch. But what happens when you don't kill everything? Well, we have a backup plan. The second argument we want to look at is the Vanquisher rocket pump. This allows us to aim homing missiles at the enemy with an increased reloading speed. So this will mop up anything that survives with an auto aim by pressing down F and locking down the enemies. This also have a good reloading speed. For the cases where we don't have a nuke ready for the second nuke, we still have enough rockets to go ahead. Of course, there's other choices. We can go into the grenade route by shooting more grenades at enemies. We can also add with different damage dealing, and also we can add into the grenade into a black hole grenade. This will suck enemies in, and then we can shoot the nuke after that. Let's have a look at the final talent for Detonation Woman. Moze will deal gun damage and a chance to deal secondary explosion damage. The chance is 20% and explosion damage is 75% on top of her existing damage. At first sight, this might be a little underwhelming. This is quite nice as Moze can use guns that rapid fires and also deal massive damage with even a sniper for the explosion damage. On top of that, most of the talent tree in this talent will be about exploding, doing additional damage, and also regaining ammo as she deals explosive damage, which also comes back to the track with the nuke damage and the rocket launchers we have. To start things off, we want Moze to have the lowest cooldown as possible so she can summon her Iron Bear as soon as she can. So each time Moze kills a unit, she can have reduction of CD by 5 seconds. Moze have about 60 seconds cooldown with her Iron Bear, and the summoning duration is about 22 seconds. So if that's the case, the lower the CD, the more recycle we can use the Iron Bear, which is her major form of damage for this build. After that, we want the Iron Bear to have the most armor and most few. The few is basically the duration of Iron Bear. Some of the skills will also use the few, which reduces duration. So having more armor and more few means she can stay in the merc form for longer. And who doesn't like an autopilot Iron Bear? After Moze exits Iron Bear, the Iron Bear will actually remain active and attack enemies with the existing gun. That means our Iron Bear will actually start shooting nukes and homing rocket launchers at the enemy. This will be 15 seconds. So very soon we can see Moze can stay with Iron Bear for the longest time or even repeat the Iron Bear with no CD, simply because we'll be killing enemies, reduction to CD, and making sure the Iron Bear is super tanky. In this particular branch, we'll be looking at splash damage. Whenever Moze deals splash damage, there will be a special effect. Most of the effect will go into fire damage. On the first one, Moze will do incendiary damage as she does splash damage. On the next one, Moze will do splash damage with a chance to restore ammo. This can be ammunition with her current gun, and also her grenade can be recharged. We want to do as much explosion damage as we can. We'll be going into the pull the holy pin. For this one, her grenades, which does a lot of damage, will have a chance to critical, because this will do even higher damage at an enemy. And how to improve onto the grenades? We can go into the why can't I carry all those grenades with additional grenade capacity. On the first sight, you might be like, hey, only 3 grenades, that's not that much. But grenades is one of the most precious resources in Borderlands. Those things are very strong and very potent. Sometimes 1 or 2 grenades can finish a fight, and they will do tremendous damage to the boss as well. So having 3 grenades would boost her damage by so much. And on top of that, she can lifesteal her missing HP with a grenade. For each of the enemies she hits with a grenade, she can restore 4% up to 20%. So if you max this spell, she can restore up to 20% per enemy. After hitting 5 enemies, she'll have maximum life. And what if you're about to die? It's time to throw a grenade. Because with this build, you'll be fighting for your life with a grenade. If you throw a grenade and kills the enemy, you also get a grenade refund. So this is when you start throwing a grenade, try to get a kill and come back to life. Lastly, we want to have Iron Bear as much as we can, while not having Iron Bear, want to get enough grenades, enough damage in. So when Moze deals splash damage with a grenade, her skill CD will be reduced by 25%. And this is pretty good because we'll be doing splash damage with the explosive gun, we'll be doing splash damage with the grenades, also rocket launchers, and we'll have CD reduced for the Iron Bear. We'll be using that as a major source of damage as we go into rocket launchers of nuclear warheads and also mini targeting rockets. Let's look into the other variations we can look at as we build the Iron Bear into a super tank. We can have this 1 point into the shield of retribution. The Iron Bear will now gain a bubble shield. This shield will deactivate after sustaining too much damage, so each time Iron Bear sustains 20% of the maximum damage, the shield will dissipate and recharge in 5 seconds. This is pretty big because this is only 1 point investment into a tree that gives you 20% more health. And this will repeat 20% each time 5-second delay finishes. Onto the bottomless mag tree. we can see that we have unlocked the specialist spear. We had 2 rocket launchers ready because we want the same weapon on both of the arms. By equipping 2 of the same weapons, we'll do 20% more damage. And keep in mind guys, we do 380% more damage with a nuclear launch. And by adding 25% more onto that, it just multiplies and you'll be making sure your nuclear launch kills everything. Let's look at other skills we build as we reach this point. We can look into mods having more fire rate and more critical hit damage. This is pretty standard and this is one of the skills we'll definitely be adding because this is flat stats. We also have a game changing spell we can unlock in this branch, which is the rushing offense. Rods will be sprinting and shooting at the same time. This is often underlooked because in Borderlands 3, the projectiles have a speed to reach you, especially rocket launchers or other things, maybe laser beam. As the bullets fly towards you, if you're running, you can't be shooting. But if you have this skill unlocked, you can be running and shooting at the same time. So if you're good enough with your pathing, you can dodge a majority of the damage. And this is one of the skills that keeps Moze alive as well. And you also be doing damage as you shoot. So definitely recommend if you go into this far into the skill tree to pick this up. After this, you play other characters, you're like, oh gosh, I can't play the same character like this, because you can't sprint and shoot at the same time. Next up, because you'll be sprinting, shooting, while moving, you have higher handling, higher weapon swap, and higher mod swap speed. We went through the elementals and different gun modes, so mod swapping speed is very good. So this is why you want to be moving. And on top of that, one of the biggest things in Borderlands 3 is not having enough ammo mission. And having this particular passive, Moze will be regenerating ammos for her existing weapon each time she scores a critical hit. And this is pretty good, especially when with guns with higher magazine. Even with a sniper, this is pretty good just by searching additional units, just by searching for additional bullets for your sniper or the rocket launcher. This is the Cloud of Lead. This passive, after adding 5 points to it, every 4 shots will be free. This means Moze can have 25% or even more ammunition as she regenerates her bullets through critical hits, with splash damage, critical hits, and also she will have 3 shots every 4 shots. She'll be doing additional 5 damage as well. This really goes well with the rocket launching heavy damage build, but we can also go with a machine gun for the most efficiency of having fire bullets and just 3 shots. Who doesn't like 3 shots, right? The second build we have with Moze is not so much into her merc, which is Iron Bear. We will be using that a lot, yes, but we want to turn her into a tank Berserker. She'll be doing most of the damage in the team and she'll be the tankiest in the team. How to do that? Let's look at this particular spell. In the Shield of Retribution, the final spell is Titanist Offense. This allows Moze to gain a proportion of her shield and increase gun damage the moment she loses her shield. This will trigger every 30 seconds and 40% shield is pretty massive with 30% damage. You might be wondering, hey, that's just, that's just a little bit of damage. No, it's a 30-second cooldown, but every skill on top of this build will help towards her shield gain, her shield regeneration, and also her amount of shield she has. Also, we'll have more damage spells as well. Let's look at the first one. Whenever Moze scores a critical hit, her shield begins recharging immediately. What this means is, she'll be hitting a critical hit non-stop, and with a faster shield regain, she'll always be unkillable if there's not enough damage to stop her. On the case if she does get broken with her shield, she can recharge instantly with this spell. Now if you think the force feedback is pretty strong by getting shield with each critical kills, on the next part, after killing an enemy, Moze will gain maximum shield, gun damage, and also she will be able to stack this infinite times. Yes, there's no amount of stack limits for this particular spell. If you get enough enemies around you, or even in a special difficulty mode with arenas, with like special challenges, she can stack her shield infinite times and have infinite stacking gun damage. This means she can go into the fray of battle, get more shield, regenerate shield as she loses her shield, and also as she kills enemies, she'll get more shield. Because it's stacked so many times, you really want more damage to be able to kill units. That's where we're going to the next part. Moze's gun damage will increase depending on how low her HP is, up to 50%. This is a lot of damage with 50%. Most builds, even at the later stage of the build, only give 30%. So 50 is massive. But how do we keep her health low while we have a higher shield? To do so, we have this special spell, the Thin Red Line. With the thin red line, a proportion of her health is reserved, and this goes to her maximum shield. So now she has 60% more shield because of the maximum health is reduced. So she will be permanently on 40% HP, and this increases her damage up to 50% because she's low on HP. But in return, she'll have such a high shield to have maximum shield, and it go further with restoration of shield. And that's not all. She has high shield recharge rate and high shield delay as she picks more of the perks. You might be wondering, hey, what if all those tankiness fails? What do we do then? And then she can press her panic button, go into her mug, and instantly start to recharge her shield. This is basically a second life, because Moze will not have a lot of HP, everything is about the shield. And by charging the shield fast with different passives and going to the Iron Bear, she can recharge health and shield. And on top of that, she will have more damage as her lower the health is. So she basically going to a second tier Berserker ultimate form by going to the Iron Bear. As we look into having Moze's maximum shield, there's more passives and there's more spells going to the maximum shield. We can invest some of the points into this one for more maximum shield and also shock damage resistance. Why shock damage? It's because shock damage does most damage to shield, and this is what we want to be scared of. Having more shock resistance means we'll be more durable against the one that counters us and be able to tank up so much more. There's no point of being a Berserker without damage reduction. We can look into damage reduction and gun damage just by having the shields activated. This means we'll have 8% up to 15% I believe by having this activated. And this is quite substantial as we reduce all sorts of damage. Yeah, we want to have the infinite kill stacking spells with maximum shield and gun damage. And this is we want to have more effects with the kill spell. For this passive, if we max this to for this passive, if we spend 5 points into it, we'll be looking at 20% increased gun damage at 3 stacks into 60%. And this slightly reduces fire rates, but it's acceptable as most tend to have rapid fire weapons, and also she would just be hitting like a truck with her weapons with multiple stacks of increased damage. We're looking at 60% here, 50% here, and 30% here, and this goes even further with different incinerate damage and different damage boosters. So basically each shot from her will always overkill and massively kills the enemy. If you like our Berserker build, we can't pass the sprint and shoot. That's why we have unlocked the bottomless mag up to the 11th skill points for this particular spell. On top of that, who doesn't like an Iron Bear that stays with us? We'll have the Auto Bear by spending 11 points into the Demolition Woman branch. You can see this build has the greatest potential as Moze is likely to get the maximum damage by losing HP, gaining more shields, durability, having the run and sprint, and lastly having an Auto Bear for 15 seconds. Let's look into the variation of weaponry for her Iron Bear and the choices we can have. Over here, we started by using the Bear Fist. This gives her massive single target damage, and what if Moze is surrounded and she'll be losing her shield? We'll turn this Bear Fist into elemental random damage onto all the enemies nearby, and also increase the elemental damage dealt. So this gives her a good source of melee AoE. On top of that, in the case we want different forms of damage, by unlocking her skill tree by 10 for each of the skill trees, we open up so many elemental options. Over here we can have the minigun, which does rapid fire, also going to the cryo rounds. This reduces hit gain, which is good for us, and also reduces the fuel drain. So that means we can have a special form of controlling damage with the cryo to give Moze more variations. She'll be doing lots of fire damage, and having ice damage is also really good by slowing enemies down and recharging shields. On the last build for Moze, we mentioned about having infinite bullets. Let's jump right into her final passive for the bottomless mags. Moze will constantly regenerate ammunition. Moze will constantly regenerate ammunition for her current equipped weapon. That is 5% per magazine. If you have a machine gun that is about 300 magazine size, you're looking at 15 bullets regeneration per second. And sometimes you don't even shoot that fast. So this is just the start of how strong this build is, because she'll have infinite ammunition and she'll be shooting rocket launchers, snipers, machine guns non-stop. On the next part, we mentioned about COV guns, which is the child of the vault guns, which have no ammunition and no reload speed. Those guns only hit up. If you say, hey, we have infinite bullets, but if I'm using those guns, don't I lose out a little bit? Yes, you do. That's why I picked this spell. Having this particular passive means we do 36% more damage as the gun hit up. The key is to balance between hitting up and not hitting up too much. As you balance it, you're likely to do more damage as you focus on enemies with your gun. Coming back to Click, as Moze's gun magazine size increases, as she lowers the magazine size, she will gain increased damage. And this is why we want to increase magazine size over here with the iron bank and also over here with the matching set. This increases the generation of her existing ammunition and also increase her gun damage. There's more about infinite ammos, as Moze will go into Berserker after leaving her Iron Bear. What that means is after 5 seconds she leaves the bear, within those times she'll have infinite ammo. Now imagine you take out your rocket launcher, your sniper, you just go ham. After she jumps out of her merc, you think she'll be weak, but by holding a rocket launcher you could just start spamming 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's infinite ammo for 5 seconds. So this is when her becomes the force to be reckoned with. And when she goes into the Iron Bear, she has really good stats, second life, more damage. So this is an all-round skill, and you really want to unlock this one for more damage. This is an interesting passive and reminds me of a lot of RPG games because you have set gears. If you have gears from different manufacturer, by equipping those, you actually get a special gear benefit. For each of the piece equipped, you get a higher benefit. Up to 11% and 10% for hit per shot, which is for her Iron Bear, to reduce the hit. Also, she will have the magazine size increased by 10%. So if you have a full gear, you're looking at 50 or 60% set bonus, and that is massive because a higher tier spell like this only reduced by 35%. A higher tier spell like this only increased by 35%. We're looking at 30, 40 or even 50% here. The time and effort we take to farm those gears for the matching company is very important. Now have a look at this before. We'll look at the supportive branch. Good ideas. Thank you for saying. Yeah, some really nice ideas with the different variation. I remember this one, as she lowers her bullets, she does more damage. It's here. It has to be here, right? Oh, it's right here. What am I saying? So, because we unlocked the specialist bear for this particular branch, we want to have the same weapon for this one as well. So we'll be looking at the minigun. The minigun have 2 choices first. There are more choices than 2 here. There are multiple choices for the minigun. Here we'll be looking at the minigun doing more damage as a hit increase. Remember, we want to do more damage simply because we have lots of bullets capacity, we have lots of AoE damage, we have lots of bullets regain. So as we do more damage as a hit increase, this is pretty massive, up to 80%. The key is to maintain the hit so we don't exceed about 80 or 90% of the hit, and that's more damage. On the second part, what if you want to slow enemy down once you do more damage? You can turn your other gun into a cryo gun. This will slow the enemy down. This can keep firing because there's less fuel and also more efficiency with the freeze damage. Of course, we can go into other sets with minigun fire rate reduction but massive damages. So this turns a minigun into a small shotgun that's ranged. But the key is you do fire a little slower by 75% in exchange of 126% damage. Let me know what you guys think about all the 3 builds for Moze we came up so far, and personally I think this particular build of unlimited shield, regeneration and infinite stacking of maximum shield and damage will be my to-go preference with Moze if I don't play the Nuke Warhead Merc builder. But if I do, I want to be like D.Va from Overwatch, who's like, fire in the hole, and everything blows up. So thank you so much guys for watching today's guide. If you like my videos, please subscribe onto YouTube for more Borderlands 100% playthrough for characters. We'll be playing all the characters actually. We also have tips and tricks to find legendary items. We also have different farming spots, also guides to a different boss as well. Please also support me by subscribing and following on Twitch as well if you can. That'd be so helpful. Thank you everyone.